Hare Krishna. So today we are gonna read Preface by Srila Prabhupada for this wonderful Krishna book which he really loved, and we are here in beautiful Prabhupada garden where Prabhupada would meet celebrities or important personalities, especially here in this garden, which is kind of his relaxing place. So it's nice we are reading these words of Prabhupada here in this garden. So we will start. Before that, I want to chant the mantra. Krishna, 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 Hey Krishna, 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 Hey Krishna, 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 Rakshamam, Krishna, 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 Pahimam, Ram Raghava, Ram Raghava, Ram Raghava, Rakshamam, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. Usually we read it 3 times, but we will just read it once here. Preface. It starts with a beautiful shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. Nivrita tarsay rupgiyamanad bhavo shuddha shrotra mano viramad kaltuma shloka gunanuvadat puman virajeta vina pashugnat. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:1-4. In the Western countries, when someone sees the cover of a book like Krishna, he immediately asks, who is Krishna? Who is the girl with Krishna? Etc. The immediate answer is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How is that? Because he confirms in exact detail to descriptions of the Supreme Being, the Godhead. In other words, Krishna is the Godhead because he is all attractive. Outside the principle of all attraction, there is no meaning to the word Godhead. How is it one can be all attractive? First of all, if one is very wealthy, if he has great riches, he becomes attractive to the people in general. Similarly, if someone is very powerful, he also becomes attractive. And if someone is very famous, he also becomes attractive. And if someone is very beautiful or wise or unattached to all kinds of possessions, he also becomes attractive. So, from practical experience, we can observe that one is attractive due to 1. Wealth, 2. Power, 3. Fame, 4. Beauty, 5. Wisdom, and 6. Renunciation. One who is in possession of all 6 of these opulences at the same time, who possesses them to an unlimited degree, is understood to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These opulences of the Godhead are delineated by Parashara Muni, a great Vedic authority. Again, we hear about Vedic culture, Vedic personalities, Vedic authorities. So this is a great book to learn about Vedic culture. We have seen many rich persons, many powerful persons, many famous persons, many beautiful persons, many learned and scholarly persons, and persons in the renounced order of life unattached to material possessions. But we have never seen anyone person who is unlimitedly and simultaneously wealthy, powerful, famous, beautiful, wise, and unattached like Krishna in the history of humanity. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a historical person who appeared on this earth 5,000 years ago. He stayed on this earth for 125 years and played exactly like a human being, but his activities were unparalleled. From the very moment of his appearance to the moment of his disappearance, every one of his activities is unparalleled in the history of the world. And therefore, anyone who knows what we mean by Godhead will accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to the Godhead, and no one is greater than Him. That is the import of the familiar saying, God is great. There are various classes of men in the world who speak of God in different ways. But according to the Vedic literatures and according to the great acharyas, the authorized persons versed in the knowledge of God in all ages, like acharyas Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhava, Vishnu Swami, Lord Chaitanya, and all their followers by disciplic succession, all unanimously agree that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As far as we, the followers of Vedic civilization, are concerned, we accept the Vedic history of the whole universe, which consists of different planetary systems called Swargaloka, or the higher planetary systems, which I guess many people popularly call it as heavenly planets. Martyaloka, or the intermediary planetary system, and Patal Loka, or the lower planetary system. So this Patal Loka would be like hell. The modern historians of this earth cannot supply historical evidences of events that occurred before 5,000 years ago. And the anthropologists say that 40,000 years ago, Homo sapiens had not appeared on this planet because evolution had not reached that point. But the Vedic histories such as the Puranas and Mahabharata relate human histories which extend millions and billions of years into the past. I'm sure many people have heard of Mahabharata. For example, from these literatures we are given the histories of Krishna's appearances and disappearances millions and billions of years ago. In the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna that both he and Arjuna had many births before, and that he, Krishna, could remember all of them, but Arjuna could not. This illustrates the difference between the knowledge of Krishna and that of Arjuna. Arjuna might have been a very great warrior, a well-cultured member of the Kuru dynasty, but after all he was an ordinary human being, whereas Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the possessor of unlimited knowledge. Because he possesses unlimited knowledge, Krishna has a memory that is boundless. Krishna's knowledge is so perfect that he remembers all the incidents of his appearances some millions and billions of years in the past. But Arjuna's memory and knowledge are limited by time and space, for he is an ordinary human being. In the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna states that he can remember instructing the lessons of the Gita some millions of years ago to the sun god Vivaswan. Nowadays it is the fashion of the atheistic class of men to try to become God by following some mystic process. Generally the atheists claim to be God by dint of their imagination or their meditational prowess. Krishna is not that kind of God. He does not become God by manufacturing some mystic process of meditation, nor does he become God by undergoing the severe austerities of the mystic yogic exercises. Properly speaking, he never becomes God because he is the Godhead in all circumstances. Within the prison of his maternal uncle Kamsa, where his father and mother were confined, Krishna appeared outside his mother's body as the four-handed Vishnu Narayan. Who has seen a four-handed child taking birth? Then he turned himself into a baby and told his father to carry him to the house of Nanda Maharaj and his wife Yashoda. When Krishna was just a small baby, the gigantic demoness Putana attempted to kill him, but when he sucked her breast, he pulled out her life. We will be hearing many of these in the chapters of Krishna Book, all the stories we will be reading later. This is just to whet your appetite to hear more stories. That is the difference between the real Godhead and a God manufactured in the mystic factory. It's interesting how Srila Prabhupada used this word, mystic factory. Krishna had no chance to practice the mystic yoga process, yet he manifested himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead at every step, from infancy to childhood, from childhood to boyhood, and from boyhood to young manhood. In this book, Krishna, all of his activities as a human being are described. Although Krishna plays like a human being, he always maintains his identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since Krishna is all attractive, one should know that all his desires should be focused on Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita it is said that the individual person is the proprietor or master of his own body, but that Krishna, who is the super soul present in everyone's heart, is the supreme proprietor and supreme master of each and every individual body. As such, if we concentrate our loving propensities upon Krishna only, then immediately universal love, unity and tranquility will be automatically realized. When one waters the root of a tree, he automatically waters the branches, twigs, leaves and flowers. When one supplies food to the stomach through the mouth, he satisfies all the various parts of the body. This is a very famous and easy to understand analogy. The art of focusing one's attention on the Supreme and giving one's love to Him is called Krishna consciousness. We have inaugurated the Krishna consciousness movement so that everyone can satisfy his propensity for loving others simply by directing his love toward Krishna. The whole world is very eager to satisfy the dormant propensity of love for others, but the various invented methods like socialism, communism, altruism, humanitarianism and nationalism, along with whatever else may be manufactured for the peace and prosperity of the world, are all useless and frustrating because of our gross ignorance of the art of loving Krishna. Generally, people think that by advancing the cause of moral principles and religious rites, they will be happy. How many of you think like that? Others may think that happiness can be achieved by economic development. I guess many people would agree with that, right? And yet, others think that simply by sense gratification they will be happy. This one, I would say majority of people would agree, right? But the real fact is that people can be happy only by loving Krishna. That's a big statement. Krishna can perfectly reciprocate one's loving propensities in different relationships called mallows or rasas. Basically, there are 12 loving relationships. One can love Krishna as the supreme unknown, as the supreme master, the supreme friend, the supreme child, the supreme lover. These are the 5 basic love rasas. One can also love Krishna indirectly in 7 different relationships, which are apparently different from the 5 primary relationships. All in all, however, if one simply reposes his dormant loving propensity in Krishna, then his life becomes successful. Who doesn't want to be successful? This is not a fiction, but is a fact that can be realized by practical application. One can directly perceive the effects that love for Krishna has on his life. I don't know how many people would like to have practical experience of that. In the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, this science of Krishna consciousness is called the king of all knowledge, the king of all confidential things, and the supreme science of transcendental realization. Yet, we can directly experience the results of this science of Krishna consciousness because it is very easy to practice and is very pleasurable. Whatever percentage of Krishna consciousness we can perform will become an eternal asset to our life, for it is imperishable in all circumstances. It has now been actually proved that today's confused and frustrated younger generation in the Western countries can directly perceive the results of channeling the loving propensity toward Krishna alone. It is said that although one executes severe austerities, penances and sacrifices in his life, if he fails to awaken his dormant love for Krishna, then all his penances are to be considered useless. On the other hand, if one has awakened his dormant love for Krishna, then what is the use in executing austerities and penances unnecessarily? The Krishna consciousness movement is the unique gift of Lord Chaitanya to the fallen souls of this age. It is a very simple method which has actually been carried out during the last 4 years in the Western countries, and there is no doubt that this movement can satisfy the dormant loving propensities of humanity. This book, Krishna, is another presentation to help the Krishna consciousness movement in the Western world. This transcendental work of literature is published with profuse illustrations. You can see one of those here. People love to read various kinds of fiction to spend their time and energy. Now, this tendency can be directed to Krishna. The result will be the imperishable satisfaction of the soul, both individually and collectively. I just want to clarify one thing here. It's said here, it is a very simple method which has actually been carried out during the last 4 years in the Western countries. So, it says this because this book was completed in 70. We can see Srila Prabhupada has signed this. So, that's why he is saying last 4 years, because it's been written so many years ago. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita that even a little effort expended on the path of Krishna consciousness can save one from the greatest danger. Hundreds of thousands of examples can be cited of people who have escaped the greatest dangers of life due to a slight advancement in Krishna consciousness. We therefore request everyone to take advantage of this great transcendental literary work. One will find that by reading one page after another, an immense treasure of knowledge in art, science, literature, philosophy and religion will be revealed, and ultimately by reading this one book, Krishna, love of Godhead will fructify. Who don't want that? My grateful acknowledgement is due to Shriman George Harrison. This is the same George Harrison of the Beatles. Now chanting Hare Krishna, for his liberal contribution of $19,000 to meet the entire cost of printing this volume. May Krishna bestow upon this nice boy further advancement in Krishna consciousness. And at last, my ever-willing blessings are bestowed upon Shriman Shyam Sundar Das Adhikari, Shriman Brahmananda Das Brahmachari, Shriman Hayagriva Das Adhikari, Shriman Sat Swarup Das Adhikari, Shrimati Devahuti Devi Dasi, Shrimati Jadurani Devi Dasi, Shriman Murlidhar Das Brahmachari, Shriman Bardaraj Das Adhikari, and Shriman Pradyumna Das Adhikari, etc., for their hard labor in different ways to make this publication a great success. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada signed this at his headquarters in Los Angeles in those days. So this is February 26th, 1970 at ISKCON, Los Angeles. So we are reading this preface at this Prabhupada garden at ISKCON, Los Angeles. Welcome to ISKCON, Los Angeles.